Distillery 291 barrel proof single barrel Colorado bourbon whiskey versus Stagg Jr. from Kentucky. Should you chase the stag or should you head to the mountains? Stay tuned for the Whisky Whistle. Hey, my whiskey people. Mark Kaufman here for Whisky Whistle on YouTube, sharing a little whiskey awesomeness from Winnipeg, the center of North America, bringing you a 2-up of ultra strength, supercharged bourbon whiskey. We have from Colorado Springs Distillery 291, their barrel proof single barrel. Now, this is 1 year old. Yeah, that's right. It's 1 year old. It's not a straight bourbon whiskey. It is simply bourbon. And if you just call it bourbon, it can be as young as, well, I guess a day old. All right, and then we have Stagg Jr. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is also barrel proof. This is a recent batch. The strength of this one is 130.9%. And the lot number, I'm sure people want to know that. Where is it now? It's here somewhere. There it is. Okay, the lot number is L2113101 22:370, reference IA5CVT15C. Does that help you? All right, anyway, so 65.45%. I bought this in Manitoba in November of last year, I believe. Or was it earlier this year? Anyway, I digress. All right, we'll get these poured. So we've got a bit of an age discrepancy. They're pretty close in proof. And the mash bills are also quite different. Colorado 291 uses a lot of malted rye in their bourbon. I believe this is 19% malted rye and 1% malted barley, with the rest being corn. So that would be 80% corn, 19 malted rye, 1% malted barley. Then we have Stagg Jr. This is also a corn heavy mash. I'm guessing about 85%. 85% corn, 10%, 10% rye, just rye, not malted, and then 5% malted barley. Whoa, that was a heavy pour. I think I better even things out. Now, despite its young age, this Colorado whiskey from Distillery 291, the Colorado bourbon here, is getting piles of awards. Just to name a few. New York World Wine and Spirits 2018 Double Gold. San Francisco World Spirits Competition 2016 Double Gold. The Spirits Business Master 2019. And a few others that I've not heard of before. So anyway, lots of awards there. Let's have a look at the color of these two. That's all natural in color, all bourbon. In fact, all straight whiskey. And a lot of other whiskey categories in USA cannot contain any coloring. Some of them can, but not bourbon and not straight anything. So these are all natural. And we have something kind of like a polished oak with the Colorado, the Distillery 291 Colorado barrel proof single barrel bourbon whiskey. And then we have something very dark with the Stagg Jr. And I would like to check out these legs as well. I've got a little bit of condensation going on here. Let me wipe that up. It's a little hot today. And I need some ice water to cool myself down. Good. Did I just sound like Clint Eastwood there? Maybe not. Okay, so let's get these and check out the legs. Do you check out bourbon legs, whiskey legs? You know, especially when you're dealing with apples and apples, like similar strengths, it can be a good way to check out and see about the viscosity. Okay, let's see what we got here. The first legs I see were Stagg Jr. The Colorado are beefy and thick and really trickling slowly. Stagg Jr. kind of all over the place. I have a feeling we have more congeners, stuff that definitely changes the viscosity with the Colorado 291. That's just my guess. Smaller distillery, it stands to reason, but they're both super thick by the looks of it. Thick. All right, so that's the legs. And don't forget to subscribe to Whisky Whistle. Hit that emblem. Hit the bell as well. Ding, ding, so you're notified of future Whisky Whistles. And if you're watching a lot of Whisky Whistle and you want to see some more bourbon content, throw me a comment, but also check me out on Patreon and support the channel by joining the Whisky Whistle crew. In fact, Patreon or buymeacoffee.com. Patreon.com/Whisky Whistle or buymeacoffee.com/Whisky Whistle. And with that, you'll get your name in the credits at the end of each video. You'll also get advanced viewership of future Whisky Whistles. And last but not least, with enough support, you will earn yourself your Whisky Whistle Glencairn glass. And shirts coming soon. Check that out. There's the front and whoa. And there's the back. All right. What was that? Random bottle on the floor. I know. Okay, so we're going to start with Colorado 291. Now, is this my first review of it? I think it appeared in another video. That was the rye. In fact, I think I compared, lot 40, batch number 3 cask strength versus Colorado 291 rye. So you can check that out. I'll put that in the description for you to watch. And I have another Stagg review as well from an older batch. Please check that out as well. Now, already the aroma, I've got baked cherries, lots of candy-like cherry type of scents coming up out of this glass. And something a little bit like a candy mint, but not a strong mint. You know those, what are they called? Butter mints, I think. They're quite soft, melt in your mouth, and they're not very strong in mint. So buttermint, and there's an apple-y note in there. And then this big punchy candied, not tomato, candied cherry. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay. Now, you can really smell the rye here. I mean, by any means, this is kind of a high rye. I don't know if 20% quite qualifies as high rye, but it's getting up there. And that malted rye is really noticeable on this nose. So it's sweet. There's some savory bake shop. Maybe something like Middle Eastern baked goods with some very unusual spices added to the bread. I get a little bit of fennel and a little bit of caraway, and it's really making my mouth water. So let's dive in there. Cheers, everybody. Now, literally, it's a year old. You know, probably a year and a week, a year and a month. But it doesn't really come off as very young. And I think smaller distillers can do things that big distillers cannot. And they can put a lot more heart cuts into their whiskey than a big distillery can. You do get both small distilleries that leave a too beefy of a cut and big distilleries that do a nice narrow cut. But as a generalization, the smaller the distillery, the smaller the cut. And that really works for shorter aging. And if I didn't know this was a year old, I'd probably say that it was 3 or 4 years old. Basically a straight bourbon whiskey type of age. %, super sippable. It is very charmingly sweet. It's not overpoweringly sweet. You got the mint and the spice and that cherry working in here. Now, all bourbons have nice long finishes. This one, however, has a sweet, appley, baked cherry, minty, delicious finish. In fact, it's very much almost, what's the word? Shadows? No. It's a mirror of the nose. Did I tell you the strength? 62.5%. 125 proof. And look at me. I'm sipping away at this and I'm loving it. Fantastic. I did notice there was quite the bottle, the neck pour syndrome with this bottle. You got to open it, you got to leave it for a couple of weeks, maybe 3. Open it, and after you pour yourself a glass, shake the bottle up. If you want to, you can decant it to a nice clean bottle and then decant it back into this bottle. Don't use anything like coffee filters or whatever. You don't want to do that. Just use a mesh filter or just simply use a funnel, a nice, ideally a clean glass funnel. Okay. All right, lovely. I do want to add a little bit of water. Where is it now? Well, we will use the, oh, here it is. Yeah, we're going to use the Highland Source spring water. Kind of like Branch. Probably not as alkaline. But the point is we want to see what happens. And I'm going to add 10 drops of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And we'll let that sit for a minute. Whew. Give that a bit of a spin and a quick sniff. Ooh, those herbs. That Middle Eastern herbal kind of effect going on. And I'm going to have a quick little sip of coffee. And then some ice water. There we go, neutralized. I'm ready to go. Okay, we'll get back into this with water added. Now, if you are a bourbon nut, a bourbon freak, do you ever add whiskey to your bourbon? And you might say, heck no. Or if you're a lady, you might say, hell no. But let me implore you, try it. You'll find, I guarantee you'll find some bottles, some brands really do well with water. My favorite one with water, I think, is Wild Turkey, especially the 101. Fantastic with water. All right, so with water, it's a sweeter nose, more sweet apple, that sweet buttermint, a little bit less herbal. It seems to have knocked a little bit of that youthful tang off the nose, which is a good thing. And maybe it's a tad more astringent on the nose with the water added. superb with water. Everything has been kind of uplifted. And yes, it's more astringent, but it's really balancing the sweetness very, very well. Compared to the 291 rye that I had before, I mean, it makes sense. The corn mash, it's a much, for lack of a better word, a cleaner palate. That straight, well, I don't think it was a straight rye, but the 291 rye was definitely darker, more brooding, dirtier, in a good way, dirtier type of a palate. That extra astringency carries through into the finish. But I would say that for me, for this bottle, I'll probably want to have that with water half the time and the other half the time neat. Or, you know, if I do have some spring water handy, I might try the last couple of sips with a bit of water in the glass. And that's a nice way to try a little bit of both, a little bit of it both ways. So I think I need one final sip here. Really enjoyable. Who'd have thought a year old can be enough for a bourbon when it's done right? And you know what's coming. A bourbon hug. Oh. And a nice big bourbon kiss right on the 291. Great stuff. All right, let's get on to the Whisky Whistle Whiskey Sour then for Distillery 291 Barrel Proof Single Barrel Colorado Bourbon Whiskey. What is that going to be, folks? It's going to be 90 out of 100. You heard it, 90 out of 100 is the Whisky Whistle Whiskey score for Distillery 291 Barrel Proof Single Barrel Colorado Bourbon Whiskey. Whew, that's a mouthful. Great stuff. You know, and I should have read the label there. Hopefully that you know this. This is finished with aspen wood staves. So that's pretty cool. You know, it adds a little bit of terroir to the mix there. Using stuff that's local to make your whiskey only increases its value to people who live near your distillery, who are your first and most important customers, aren't they? All right, now, what you've been waiting for, let's get into, Stagg Jr. Okay, the nose. Sure, it smells like Buffalo Trace, but wow, that corn influence. I'm getting brewed corn silk tea. Sweet fire roasted corn with a few candy corn candies to just add into there. If this had baked cherries, this has some cherry pie, and I feel like the greater emphasis on corn here is adding that flaky pastry type of scent and flavor to the palate. Wow. Okay. Definitely sippable neat. You do get a little bit more heat with this. Not a bad heat. A warming heat. It starts down here and it just builds up. And I think I jumped into the palate too quick. Let's get back into the nose one more time. It is sweet. There is some astringency, a little bit of, tannin going on from the oak. And this is like 6, 7, 8 years old. I don't think they disclose each batch, but anyway, so it's a fair bit older than the minimum for no age stated straight bourbon whiskey, which is 4 years old as minimum. If you want to disclose the age, then 2 years is the minimum. Super punchy. Interestingly, some bourbon cream cookies. Peak Freens. Some sugar-coated, sugar cookies. And you've got that a cherry pie going on. And I'm sweating as I'm tasting this because of the increased astringency. You definitely can feel the strength as well as the age here. The finish is quite warm, a little bit hot for my liking. The finish on the Distillery 291 was sweeter. This is a little bit more astringent, and I feel like, wow, am I dripping sweat here? Some tart, hard fruit candies. And it's really aggressive. It's super aggressive. And I'm going to have to add more water to this for me to be able to better understand this whiskey. So let's go with 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 drops. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 1.5 milliliters to about a 30 milliliter pour. Okay. And a quick spin here. Ooh, some nice leather now. You get more of a sense of the age with water added, which is nice. The palate. Well, that changed everything. It's sippable. It's not so outrageously tannic and astringent. Cherry pie, candy corn, roasted corn, corn silk tea. If you're in Korea and you're watching this, some 옥수수 수염차. You can get that at Korean stores. Go to the cooler and you'll see some corn silk tea. You can buy it. You can have it cold or hot. Still a very aggressive, astringent finish that I think needs more water to unlock. And I think I'm going to have to do that now because I really want to get a sense of how this is actually finishing at appropriate drinking strength. And I know what you're saying. Well, I like it neat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so now we're up to 3 milliliters of water added. There's about, 2 milliliters, pardon me. There's about 15 drops from an eyedropper in 1 milliliter. Now I'm getting big old punches of vanilla bean. Some Dutch spiced ginger cake. Really needs the water added. And the finish, like I say, now I'm getting the candy corn. I'm getting the roasted corn. I'm getting some vanilla. I'm getting some baked apple. And it's gotten sweet enough that I'm feeling the thickness back here, as you know, like when you're having a soda pop or a what do you call soda pop where you are? Now I see what this is all about. Personally, I think that Buffalo Trace made this to be tried neat and also with water for you to really explore all the flavor that's in this bottle. And I've tried straight up Stagg, George T. Stagg, and they're really not in the same ballpark, but this is very good for an easy, not too expensive at regular retail, full proof, high proof, straight bourbon whiskey. That little bit of leather, that little bit of library, old church type of wood scents and flavors coming through. Nice. All right, well, let's get into the Whisky Whistle whiskey score for Stagg Jr. This is a 2021 release. What is that going to be, folks? It's going to be 88 out of 100. You heard it, 88 out of 100 is the Whisky Whistle whiskey score for Stagg Jr. Needs a nice little bourbon hug and a little pat on the back. You know, very nice. I think that this is very batch dependent, but certainly something that everybody wants to have. It's very limited. It's hard to get. But, you know, look elsewhere, because personally, at a year old, for me, this is better than the Stagg Jr. But that's just my opinion. But let's try them side by side here really quick. Oh, super fruity, fresh, minty, herbal. Whew. And over here, we got that roasted corn, the sweet corn, the big old bourbon, like fresh vanilla pod. Really, really rye-like. Very classic bourbon notes here. Cherry pie over here. Straight up baked cherries on this side. Super complex. Sippable at 62.5%. Wow. Sweet, delicious finish. With extra water. Much extra water. Super enjoyable. You get more corn influence, you get some vanilla, you get some leather going on there, showing its age. But holy cats, that is a very astringent, very tannic, very sharp finish in comparison. Hence the 2-point deduction over here. But again, that's just my point. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these two. Have you tried them both? Which way are you leaning for your next purchase? I would love to hear that. My name is Mark Kaufman. You're watching Whisky Whistle. Thank you so much. Check me out on Patreon and buymeacoffee.com. And we'll see you very soon. Goodbye now.